Retail Week is brought to you by Nutrisphere N, Nitrogen Fertilizer Manager, protecting your nitrogen from all three forms of loss. Hey, welcome back. And welcome back to you. And welcome back to me.
Yes.
I guess I'm
here again.
I've been out for, I think, it feels like a year, but it's only been about a month or so.
It's been a while.
Been a while. Been on the road
We have missed you.
doing stuff. Well, I've missed everyone. Although I've heard from everyone that there's a lot of people I talk to that people are watching the video, so that's nice to hear. You know that we're actually
Always a good thing. Yes.
Getting some viewings of what's going on with retail. A lot has happened. I mean, we've been doing our runs at the Environmental Respect Awards.
Correct.
Visits. I got to go up to Manitoba and take a drive around. Saw the folks I saw were about 2 miles west of Winnipeg, which was an interesting area. It's incredible soil up there, but it's also home to the only desert in the entire country. So you drive about 10 miles north of where they were at, and it basically looks like you're in a not desert, but it's sandy and and just not much grows there. It's remarkable. But then you drive another 5 miles up north or so, and it's completely gone again. So that was fascinating.
All right.
I don't know if anybody cares, but that was kind of fun. And then I got last week. I got to go to see R.D. Offutt, which is one of the largest potato growers, not the largest potato grower in the country. If you enjoy French fries at any of your fast food restaurants and many other establishments, they're responsible for those as well as many other processed potatoes. One thing I thought was interesting that in talking to them is the change in terms of eating habits and folks not really eating fresh potatoes anymore. In terms of I guess millennials apparently don't like to peel potatoes, which is fascinating, and that's made for a real change in how they've had to market and process potatoes. I mean, a lot more processed potatoes now in terms of what they do with them. So. That was particularly interesting. It was great to see the potato production and how it all works, how it all fits together. And I got a chance to talk to Vince Restucci, who I've come to know over the last couple of years, and he was talking about how technology is kind of the thread that weaves in between everything that they do. I mean, they're a John Deere dealer. They have agronomists on staff. They've got and pretty much everything you can imagine from the farm operation is integrated fully. And so I've asked him to speak at our Precision Ag Vision Conference, and he's going to be participating in that, and we'll find out more about how they operate. But it was a great couple of days. Really an amazing farmer, and we had a lot of fun. So. What have you been doing the last couple of weeks?
Thanks, Paul. Well, one of the things we've been following, obviously, for the last couple of years is process safety management and its potential implementation into the ag marketplace. As you remember, Paul, back in July of 2015, OSHA wanted to implement PSM and have ag retailers go about implementing all the safety features at their facilities. ARA, TFI, and a whole bunch of folks basically protested and appealed to the D.C. Appeals Court, saying that PSM was not safe for work, or BAD, for the marketplace because it would cost retailers about $100 million in compliance costs. And we found out this week, Paul, that OSHA will not be appealing to the Supreme Court. So PSM is a DOA, which makes ARA and TFI and all the folks in the marketplace pretty darn happy, and they're saying a big OMG or thank you, TY, to everyone involved. So there you go.
Okay.
So we'll be back ASAP.
Over the 9+ years, they've done over 400 trials, side-by-side replicated trials, and we've shown that 90% of the time we've had a positive yield response with Nutrisphere. So 90% of the time a crop producer out of those 400+ trials could expect a positive response. That positive response is average 10 bushel an acre across all 400+ trials.
Well, welcome back. We also wanted to cover this week. There's been a lot of discussion about what's going on with the budget, or the lack thereof, and what's happening with USDA. I know you had been watching some of the reaction from our industry partners and friends.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I know a lot of the scuttlebutt on the internet regarding the proposed budget from President Trump was how much entitlement programs were going to be cut and how much military spending was going to increase. But for agricultural folks, there are also some deep, deep cuts. As a matter of fact, one of the big cuts was in the proposal for crop insurance, which looks like it's going to be proposed to cut $28.5 billion, which is approximately 36% from prior years, Paul. And as as you might imagine, most of the associations, the wheat growers and association of soybean growers have come out against this, basically saying in 40 years of watching budgets be proposed, they've never seen a cut so steep from one year to the next, and that it's basically a bad idea to quote unquote take out the safety net that growers have been using to keep going in these more difficult times with lower commodity prices and uncertainty.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a little scary. You know, we want to see, we need food security. I mean, it's one of those things that you need to know how to do is grow food, and once you lose some of that knowledge, once you lose some of the expertise, and people start going away, then you just start losing it overall. You don't. It's hard to get it back. It's much easier to maintain that once you've got it, and then once you pull back, you put yourself in some danger. So hopefully, as we go through the process here, we'll be able to have rational discussions about this and figure out how to move forward smartly.
Yeah, the only saving grace here, Paul, is based on everything I've read from folks across the spectrum, as senators, representatives, folks in ag and out of ag. Most people seem to think that this budget really has not much of a chance getting through as is. Again, DOA, if bringing that.
Stop. I'm not saying okay again.
But yeah, we'll see what ultimately happens over the next couple of weeks here. But yeah, this could all change. But for the time being, not looking real positive for those folks in ag who were having high hopes with President Trump in the White House.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see. Well, that's it for this edition of Crop Life Retail Week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you to this week's video sponsor, Nutrisphere N Fertilizer Manager from Verdesian Life Sciences.